told you happened?
It's too early in the process. That's certainly one of the things we'll be evaluating. We're hoping to be able to identify the workers and interview them as well and get their perspective.
So there were some witnesses who said that they heard what they thought was a broken line and thought that they smelled natural gas. Are you able to confirm that, and what can you, I guess, can you illuminate that situation?
We do know that the cut line was discovered after the explosion. As I indicated, the representatives of the Public Service Commission, Public Utilities Commission, and the gas company were able to enter the basement. They did find a line that had been cut, and that line was pressurized.
Are you able to, when you say cut, are you able to say if it was a leak, or did someone actually cut through the line?
We'll have to determine exactly what the source of that was, but we do have the line. We do know that it was cut.
Now, when you said it was inactive, are you able to elaborate on that?
I'm going to ask Kim to elaborate a little bit. Let me take a stab. This was a service line coming off the main line. It was a service line leading to the property, but it was not servicing. It was essentially abandoned. It was not servicing the property at the time, but it was found subsequently to be pressurized, meaning it had gas in it. Kim, did I get that right?
That's correct.
Okay. I'm learning.
Kim, do you want to address that?
You want to elaborate?
You did very
Did
well.
I? Okay. There we go.
Got it.
I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
So, a line that's not in service, there should be no gas in it, is that right?
Ideally, there should be no gas in it.
So with your experience, is there any way that you can say how that could have happened?
That'll be part of what we'll be investigating to determine exactly why that apparently abandoned service line was still pressurized. Yes, ma'am.
I just have a quick question, because you said it was cut and you were investigating the cause of it. So are you could this possibly be active domestic terrorism at all?
No, there's no evidence at all that there was anything nefarious about what happened.
And just to follow up on that, it's an old building. We know a lot of these old buildings have asbestos in it. Were any of the fumes toxic at all?
I'm not aware, but I think that's part of what we'll be looking at, too, to determine exactly what the hazards may have been other than the explosion and the exposure to gas.
Hi, I'm Madison with WFNJ. What is the NTSB doing to find out who's accountable for the cut line? And is there any potential negligence of the owners of this building?
Well, I want to just stress that our role is not to assign blame or fault. Our role is to determine what happened. So we're not looking to determine negligence. We're not looking to determine fault. We're just looking to determine what the facts are. Once we determine what those facts are, we will make them available to the public through a final report. There are other forms for determining whether there was negligence or fault. That's just not our role.
Typically, what would be the event in which a line would get cut? Like what type of things would happen that would lead to that?
Well, one of the things we are examining, as I indicated, is third-party work in the presence of these lines and whether that may have been a factor in this line being cut.
Tom, can you describe the work that was being done in the basement?
What we know is that there was work being done in the basement, reportedly to clear out old infrastructure, essentially artifacts of old infrastructure, such as pipes, such as wires, that sort of thing. That's what we understand. That's still part of what we're investigating. We haven't established that definitively.
Just so I'm clear, I'm sorry, Denise Stick from the Business Journal. The third party would be that you're talking about would be the people, the workers, right?
Yes, correct.
Right.
Yeah, in other words, someone other than the gas company or public utilities or someone who might ordinarily be working on gas lines.
Do we know if those folks checked with the PUCO before they started digging and cutting and removing?
We don't know. Still too early in the investigation.
What is the proper procedure when you're doing that? Is that something you're supposed to follow?
Well, part of what we'll be looking at is what are the proper procedures and were those proper procedures followed? Yes, ma'am.
Is it common practice for the NTSB to look into all natural gas leaks or explosions in this nature, Or is there something that prompted the NTSB to look into this one specifically?
Yeah, we do not look at all natural gas explosions. We focus our attention on those that we think might have some particular impact in terms of safety. Certainly from a national perspective, whether there might be lessons that can be learned that can be shared with others to ensure we don't have similar sorts of circumstances. In this case, we have a long-standing concern about third-party work in the vicinity of gas lines. That's a major element in this investigation. We're also concerned about gas line system integrity. Here we have a line that apparently was an abandoned line and yet was pressurized. We want to learn more about why that happened and what we can do to help ensure that that doesn't happen again in the future.
Do you know how long the gas was leaking?
I don't know exactly how long the gas was leaking. Kim, it's my understanding this happened very quickly, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Is this a common
Yes, sir.
occurrence in older buildings?
I don't think it's a common occurrence, no. I mean, I'm sure you hear about this sort of thing happening from time to time, but it's not common. This is a particularly catastrophic. We were down this morning to see the site, and the damage down there is stunning. Other questions?
Stunning in its,
It's
rest of it?
devastating, yeah. It's the damage to the building is devastating, yeah. Yeah. It's difficult to get a perspective from the photos and the video that you've seen, but when you're up close to it and you see how deep it goes down into the basement area and how much damage there was and the size of the structures that were damaged, it's gets your attention. Yes, ma'am.
Is the NTSB looking into the structure of the building and if what's going to happen next for that building and if it's safe?
Our focus is on the explosion, the accident, and the events leading up to it, and then the emergency response. What happens with the building going forward is beyond our level of expertise. That's the sort of thing that state and local authorities will determine. So that is not part of our investigation, and it won't be something that we'll be participating in. Yes, ma'am.
Desiree Gosselin, Spectrum News. I just want to make sure I understand the timeline. So there was, the gas company came in and they found a cut in the line and they fixed it, but they didn't depressurize it at that time?
This was after the explosion.
After the explosion?
After the
Okay.
explosion, the public utilities and the gas company were able to gain access to the basement. It's my understanding, I believe, that they were accompanied by firefighters because it's a very dangerous situation. They discovered this essentially abandoned service line. They determined that it was still pressurized. There were a variety of tests that they ran to make that determination. Once they determined that it was still pressurized, they took steps to cut it off and cap it and then depressurize it. So these were steps taken after the explosion to essentially eliminate that hazard. I thank you all very much for your interest. Peter, it's my understanding we'll be keeping you posted in terms of any potential additional briefings through Twitter or X or whatever we're calling it this week.
And that report in 30 days, would that be via Twitter or will that be?
We'll announce the release of that report. It'll also be on our website. And
in
again,
about 30 days?
that report will be entirely factual. The finding of probable cause and making of recommendations will be in the final report. Thank you very much.